So when I was 4 years old, I started seeing spirits. And that's where my journey began. And when I first seen spirit, the first thing I seen was my guide. So person I seen, I see spirit like it's um, almost like humans. When I was younger, I couldn't tell the difference. So I refer to spirit sometimes as humans could when I was young in my younger days, because that's how I seen them. So I was at the hospital waiting for on news about my nan, and I was sitting next to a window, and while my parents were speaking to the doctors about my nan, my guide was sitting next to me. And I just remember her being in awe. I can't even remember what she said to me, but it was, and now I recognize her. It was like it's her energy is like an angel energy. So I was just in awe with her, and she glowed in blue, and that's how I see guides. A lot of you might see your guides with like a blue around them, but she was talking to me, and then she patted my leg when my parents started coming over and stood up and walked through the wall. And I remember sitting there going, oh my goodness. And I tried to do that the next day, but it didn't work out real well. And then um, my first person who came to me was my nan. So, and she actually came to me first in the grey area. Back then, not really not knowing or understanding that. So when we were driving home from Sydney, we were actually living in Grafton at that time. So we were driving home, and we were walking. I remember Dad, it was all hours of the morning, and Dad was carrying me up the stairs. And I remember looking up the stairs, and I could see my nan standing at the top of the stairs, but she was black and white. And and the phone was ringing, and it was ringing and ringing, and I remember Dad fiddling around to open the door, and went inside, and he answered the phone, and um it was my dad's stepfather, a Grandy, and he said to Dad, "Oh, Mum just woke up." And we'd been down there for a few days, and apparently she hadn't woken up that whole time, and she woke up and she said, "The kids are home." And yeah, and and then she passed away not long after that. And that was the only time she'd become conscious in those few days. So in the grey area is that in between place. And from back then I had no idea what I was seeing or being able to understand it. But all I could see was I could see Nan, and there was comfort in that. But I was seeing her different to how I always did, because she was in black and white. And I, over the years, speaking to my father and everything, that's where and learning and doing what I do, you learn a lot of things we know most of our life, but we just don't know how to put all the pieces together or what we're actually seeing until later on down the track. So, and these days I do a lot of readings in the grey area, so from that other side where people are in between. Then when I was 16, I had last stages of cancer and a blood clot in the main artery of my brain the size of a grown man's thumb. And the doctors told me I wasn't going to survive, and when I got the blood clot, they sent family in, and they told everyone. A doctor flew in I was living in Newcastle at the time, and a doctor flew in from Sydney, and pretty much to tell me that he couldn't do anything and that I'd pass away that night. And in that time, I spent a lot of time on the other side, and I went to the other side, and I was greeted by my angel and guide and two past lives. And it was in a castle, and I was taken into this castle, and I was healed. And when I came back, the blood clot had disappeared, so it actually just dissolved, and that it was just a miracle to all the doctors, to everyone, and even is today, because when they did scans after that, they could never even see any damage, or any scar tissue with the blood clot. And with the cancer, it ended up um, pretty much going away, where they thought that I at least, yeah, I didn't have much of a chance at all as well, because I had last stages and I had it all through me. And they'd also told me I couldn't have any children. And I still remember that meeting with the doctor. And I said, well, last week, a few months ago, you told me that I was going to die. I said, I'm going to have three. Just watch me. And I don't know if I was like one of those naughty kids, but I'd say I'm probably one of those naughty adults now too. If I'm told I can't do something, I'll kind of prove that I can. And but I also grew up around, around mum and dad separated around the age of 7, and that was really hard as well, because mum was very much against speaking with the other side, where dad was actually seeing spirit, but he didn't even talk about it or come out about it until he was in his until he come to one of my shows. He was terrified of coming to one of my shows, and he ended up coming to one of my shows. My stepmom dragged him to my show, and he's like, oh my god, no. Anyway, that night I said to spirit, you better look after me. All my family was there, and I actually lived, it was almost like a double life, even with my family, for a long time. And for many years, from the age of 14, I was doing readings and learning all this stuff. And for years, I was actually doing readings, and people knew me as Mystical Questions, but no one knew who I was, because I was always in management positions, or I was in, um, I had my own business. And if when you're in those kinds of positions, you've got to be careful about how how much people know about you, if that makes sense, and because they need to be able to respect you, and especially with religion and things like that, I always tried to keep it out of it, because some people just don't believe in what you do, and that's okay, because that it doesn't align with their beliefs. And so dad come to the show, and my family and everything, and then when he come to my show, and spirit really looked after me that night, and everyone, all I remember is everyone coming up to me in the end, and my dad coming up and going, oh my god, oh my god, oh, do you remember when this? And then the next few months, dad was ringing me every day or every second day going, do you remember this, do you remember that? What was my great grandfather's name? Asking me all these questions and talking about it. And he got so excited about the whole thing, because he could actually talk. He was telling me stories where spirit was coming to him, and he couldn't understand it. What I've found in my lifetime is everything I've gone through has been for a reason. And where everything I've gone through, I've been able to help. I now am able to help others. And when we do our readings and when we do what we do, it's even teaching. It's very important that we've had some of the experiences as well, because spirit takes all of those experiences, and we really need to have that empathy and understanding, and about all everything, a really fruitful life in so many different ways. And even though it's been really, really hard, I'm very, very grateful for it, because I'm able to help so many other people, and with classes and groups and all of that as well. And me coming out into the world. So when I was sick, when I was actually doing when I was sick and I was having chemo and doing all my treatments, I don't even know where I got, and half the things I don't even remember how I got to certain places at times, or even got certain books or certain information. But I remember I got these two sign language books, and I think I might have picked them up at a garage sale or something like that with my dad. But I started learning sign language, and many of you might know, like when you're a spiritual child, there's a lot of learning difficulties because spirit will sometimes block you about learning certain things because it'll interfere with their learning. And so I was quite I really struggled with reading certain information and learning learning um, how society wanted me to learn, but I was learning everything from the other side. And many of us channel most of our life without even realizing we're doing it until later on down the track. But how I started doing this sign language, and I've always just trusted spirit more than I trusted myself. So especially when I was living with my mum, it was I really couldn't trust spirit. I mean, trust mum or where I was living, but I trusted spirit 100%. And yeah, I started learning sign language, and then a few years later, Dad's like, "What are you doing? What are you learning that for? Maybe you should learn how to read better first." Oh my goodness. But I ended up learning sign language, and then a few years later, once I recovered, I ended up at a Rudolf Steiner school teaching a classroom full of 10 disabled young adults in a post-school options school. And then in this Rudolf Steiner school, I actually learnt so much and I was embraced. And my first teacher was my first teacher I found there as well. And I was only quite young. I was like 19, and the teacher, she used to use the normal playing cards. So, and she come from the UK, and she actually used to read for the royal family, and she was teaching me how to use cards and why she used normal playing cards, because so people didn't know what she was doing. So if someone come in the room, she'd say, "Oh, well, we're just playing cards," but she was actually doing readings. And she taught me so much, and she used to take me around to the churches, and she took me to, I remember took me to Joy Atkins' house in Borkham Hills once, and I was only like 19, and I think she'd just moved into the house in Borkham Hills with the gargoyles or something on the roof. And I remember turning up and thinking, and I could feel the energy before we even got there. And I really didn't understand a lot about energy then. And I remember walking into the room, and it was just like I couldn't hardly breathe. And it was just amazing. And around all these people who were similar to me, like, where did you all come from? And it was just like, this whole new world opened up. And I just remember learning so much from so many different people. Like over the years, I've just had so many people just turn up. Even when I had my cleaning business, and I ended up having a nanny, and she was an amazing medium and psychic as well, and she even had my mum's name. So I hadn't seen my mum since I was 21, but she had exactly my mum's name. So I used to say to her, "You're the mum that I was meant to have." And she's on the other side now, but I've lost so many people over the years as well. So from a very young age, and those people have actually guided me more in spirit than what they have here. So I'll tell you an example. So we're having a retreat, and this was when we were living at Orangeville out the back of Sydney, and we had this retreat, and Matt, my partner, he was making gluten-free bread or rolls, and it all gone wrong. And I come in and I said, "Do you want me to have a go?" And he goes, "Yeah, okay, have a go at it because it's a mess." Anyway, I got in there, and I asked for my nan to come in, who was the cook. And my nan comes in. I never look at recipe books, nothing. My nan tells me everything I need to know. And these rolls come out, and they were absolutely amazing. And over the lunch, everyone's going, "How did you make those rolls? What's the recipe?" I said, "Oh my God, I cannot tell you. I don't know. I channeled them, and they were, yeah, and they were pretty good. You couldn't even tell that they were gluten free." And another one where I used to work in the tunnels, like driving trucks, and all the boys used to in the mud down the tunnels. I loved them. A bit of a tomboy as well, but the boys' trucks used to break down all the time. And my dad's dad, who I never met, he's been a major part of my life in spirit, but he used to come in, and when the trucks would break down, and he'd come in and tell me how to fix them. So I'd fix the trucks because he was actually a mechanic, and he worked in the tunnels as well, and he'd tell me how to fix the trucks, and then all the boys would go back off again. So when someone was broken down, I'd hear them go, "Is Don down here? Where's Donna?" And I'd go and fix their trucks. And all of us are able to do that, are able to grab so much knowledge from the other side, but a lot of people just don't know how to do it. And I've just naturally done it. I didn't even know I was doing it for such a long time. And many people don't know that that's what they do. So when you know things, when you just simply know things and you don't even know how you know it, that's often quite often we're channeling and not even knowing it. So, but when I came out into once my kids grew up to a certain age, and when my life had started, and I remember I was looking after my kids all the time, and my daughter said to me one day, "Mum, we're teenagers now. We don't really need you all over us all the time. You need to get a life." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, so I thought, okay, well, I'll start going to a spiritual church, and I'll start doing this, and I'll start doing all of this. So that's when I started stepping out, and I started going to Seven Hills Spiritual Church, and started venturing out a little bit. And when but what I found hard was with some of the people at the churches that there's a lot of ego out there, and there's a lot of great people in the industry, but then there's some who really don't like to see how good you are, and that they don't respect that. And I really struggled with that, and where it was quite traumatic, some of the experiences. And I sat in a few groups as well, and it was like it was all full of ego. And I still remember sitting in a mediumship class, and they were teaching me things that I knew, but I didn't know all the words to, and I didn't know so because I didn't know the words, I wasn't a good medium. And I remember being ridiculed for that. And it was like things like all the clan sentience. I can't even pronounce those words. And I really don't think it's that important too. And when I spoke to my guide said it really doesn't matter because that it's important that you know how to do them. We don't, and the other side, they don't label things, they don't name things, they don't do all of this. We're the ones that label everything, and we're the ones that make all these big names that people like myself can't pronounce. and and that and I started understanding that those kinds of things, and I'm like, oh my goodness, and things that everything was labelled, and I had, it was almost like I was learning all over again, and things that I'd been doing my whole life, but then realising that there was all these labels being judged if you didn't know them as well, and the thing is, I remember sitting in a group, and I sat in a fair few groups, and I had some amazing experiences, but then I had some experiences where it showed me what not to do. And I remember when I was 16, when I was on the other side, they actually said to me, no, I've got to come back, I'm going to teach. And when I was 16, I couldn't even read. And I remember thinking, teach what? Anyway, I've ended up being a teacher in many different ways, but at the time I really didn't know. And I always kind of knew that this would be one of my main forms of teaching, but I knew, but I didn't know. But I remember sitting in one of these classes and hearing the medium that was teaching saying, in a mediumship class, you fake it until you make it. And I was just horrified. And I was just like, you can't fake this. You're playing with people's lives. And what we say is so important to the people. And we cannot fake it. The minute I had to fake what I was doing and relaying information that was fake, I'd be out of this industry. I'd be back driving trucks again until I'm like 70 years old or 80 years old. I would not do it. And I remember seeing things and comments like that and thinking, this, I can't even comprehend that. That's so wrong. And I remember in one of these classes saying, so what do I need to do to be a teacher of this? And she said, nothing. You just need to be a medium and and know your clairsentience and all of that. And I thought, oh my goodness, no, I don't. And I asked my guide, and she says, no, you go and teach because you need to go and teach. So then I started Spirit Club, and this is a class that it's not just a class, it's for actually mediums and healers and everything spiritual in this one group. And it's about networking, bringing each other together and building our confidence, having somewhere safe to be able to learn and give feedback and just help. There's so many amazing mediums and healers and spiritual people out there that just don't know how to get out there. They've got these amazing gifts, but they're all, because they're limited in what they know how to get out there and for people to how to even find customers. It's like their gifts going to waste. So I just wanted to build something that brought people together, where it was a safe place for everyone to learn. And then Spirit Club was created, and that's a group, and it's like I made it affordable for everyone as well. Like there's classes out there and they're like, some of them are like thousands of dollars or like even $300. Oh, these massive amounts. And I thought, no, I can't comprehend that. I'd teach for free. I love it. And and so I ended up making it affordable. Through COVID, a lot of people didn't even have jobs and they struggled so much. And I made Spirit Club pretty much free around that time. So people could come and built this network of just amazing people, and we all supported each other through some really, really trying times and hard times. And I just love how Spirit Club's evolved and changed over time and when we've needed it. And there's no ego there. I teach people to step away from their ego, and because when we have ego involved, we can't connect with spirit. We just don't listen. And people say, oh, they've got an ego now. I've heard this many times. People, oh, they've got an ego now, so spirit stepped aside. Well, that's not what I believe in, and that's not what I've ever seen. It's where our ego gets in the way, where we think that we're this high and mighty person and that we stop listening to spirit. And at the end of the day, we have our gifts, we have these amazing things that we can do and this knowledge, but we can't do it without spirit. Don't ask me advice unless I'm channeling, because I give terrible advice. So it's really important that we realise where and acknowledge, and we are so grateful about where all of our knowledge comes from. So my most recent project, so my life's been dedicated to spirit and I love it, and dedicated to the people and dedicated to like being able to help others get out there and understand their own gifts. And being born in the 70s, back then, it's still in Australia, it was still legal to do what we do. And so it was very hard as a child, very hard growing up, and knowing when to switch on and when to switch off. And I even masked it away from some of the most important people in my life because of that fear of them knowing what I I was doing or what I could see or what the whole lot. And I remember, and I got very good at masking it as well, where I couldn't see. And when I did step out, it was just like this whole weight had lifted off me, where I could finally just be who I wanted to be. And this thing um, that I hid and that I was afraid of most of my life, people were paying me for it. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's, and it's not about that though. It's about being able to help as many people as we can. So I've come in contact with some of the most amazing people in my lifetime and learnt so many different things. It's been quite amazing. And some people, I think, oh my God, how did I even come in contact with this person? How did I even do this? And like missing persons as well, that's been a major part of my life since I was like 14 years old. So because Samantha Knight's pretty much a family member of mine, and she's a daughter of a relative of my first boss, and I used to talk to Samantha. This is a missing person in Australia, a young girl, and I used to play with her and talk to her when I was 14. But I never spoke to her mum about her, being able to see her, being able to know where she was, where her body was put. I never put any of that I never spoke to her mum about it, because there's so many things to do with respect, and I can't think of the word, but it's like where you can't read people without their permission. You can't go after missing persons cases without actually being invited. And there's so many laws in there that my guides taught me, but some people just don't go with those laws. They do things unethically. And people who read, I see it all the time, people who read people without their permission, or people who dove into missing persons cases and everything like that without their permission, they never get it right, because the thing is, they're not working with spirit, because spirit won't give them that information if they're not invited, and things aren't done the right way. And that's what I've found over the years as well. So my latest adventure's been Magic Gifts. So it's MAJIK gift.com, and this is a platform, and it's coming out in stages, and it's with light workers all over the world being able to help people. It's from spiritual, it's from teachers, it's psychics, mediums, it's healers, it's all different kinds of people from all different walks of life. Even Scott Miller, the Olympic swimmer, who all of you's probably heard about over the news for all the wrong reasons, over the years, and I've been a big part of his recovery as well, and finding who he is, and now being able to help other people go through drugs and many other things. But it's a network where people can help so many other people, and we're putting churches on there as well, so they're able to receive funding and have more people come to their online services and face to face also. But and it's going to be a learning centre as well, where it's a safe place where people can learn also. That's not built yet, but it's in the making. So it's have a look at it. It's a fun place where I'm just trying to help so many amazing people out there to be able to do their job, and to be able to help people who aren't really up on the technology side of things, and just trying to make this network to be able to just help others, and for everyone to work with spirit. So, does anyone have any questions?
Donna, can you repeat the name of that magic gift, or the
So
URL?
it's Magic Gift. So it's MAJIK gift.com.
Great. Okay. People
So
can
have a
check that out.
look. Yeah, have a look at it. And it's in the making, so it's coming out in a whole heap of different phases. So there's going to be a place where you can put retreats and all different things on there. Yeah, spiritual shops, spiritual wholesale shops. Like, I'm just trying to bring everyone together, so we can heal the world together. That's that's my goal. So, does anyone have any questions for me?
Well, I'm sure they do. So, Regina, let's start with Regina. Regina is a very experienced medium, so I can see that you and she have a lot in common. Regina.
Hi,
Thank you,
Regina.
Wendy. Hi, Donna. What a wonderful presentation. Delightful completely. And I was feeling so connected when you were talking about how your experience predated all of the language skills of what everything is, all the names of what everything is. And anyway, I was just delighted to hear all of your story, how wonderful, and just delighted. Thank you so much for sharing all this. I know I had
Thank
a
you.
question, but I forgot. I forgot what my question was, so I'll let someone else go for it. And if I can remember it, I'll get you. I'll get right back
Wonderful.
at you.
Thank
But thank
you.
you, Donna. Oh, I do have a question. I'm not from Australia. What do you mean by the tunnels? Are you talking about mining tunnels?
Yeah, pretty much mining. So driving trucks in the tunnels in the mud. So where they were building the new roads under Sydney. and I'd go down in there and drive in the mud and while they were getting built. Oh, it was so much fun. And I was a garbage truck driver in Sydney too. I've had so many different jobs, and it's all helped me to understand and helped me in all different areas. So,
Well, you're a delight, absolutely delight. Thank you for sharing your life, and I know there's so much more. Can't wait to hear it.
I could talk all day, but I won't.
Oh yeah, no, go for it. Fill in the gaps when the hands aren't up, please.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
I think they're all in them. Donna, tell us about your remote viewing.
Oh, remote viewing. Okay, so remote viewing's quite often used in missing persons cases and murders, and the police can't use that on a legal sense, but they often get in contact with me to be able, and they just book in like a normal reading, or I have usually more family where police have actually recommended family members to come to me. And I never charge for murders or missing persons cases, and I'll often travel to missing persons as well if it's safe. But it's about going to that space. So what I used to do when I was younger, I didn't even realise I was doing it. My mum was an avid liar, like really good at, well, she thought she was very good at lying. And I haven't had anything to do with her since I was 21. But I remember at 10 years old, what I used to do was she would tell me a story and I would go to that space to be able to see what the truth was. And over the years, what I used to do was when I'd speak to people and when I'd hear people tell stories, I would actually go to that space. And it's almost like a video playing. And that's where I learned how to master remote viewing. So is by going to that space just when people are talking, and more to just see it, because I'm more a seer. I like to see. So and especially when people are telling these amazing stories of things that have happened in their life, I love to go to the space and actually see it for myself. And that's a really good way that you can practice remote viewing, but that's how I kind of mastered it. So apparently I've done readings for most of the Australian Embassy and beyond in Washington DC as well. And there has been a few readings there that they've asked me to kind of go into a certain space to be able to see certain things, but there's a spirit will always keep you safe no matter what you're doing as well. So sometimes they may not allow you to see certain things because it may put you in harm's way, if that makes sense. So who can remote view, or who's actually maybe remote viewed and not even realise that they were doing it in their lifetime? It's like many people do all these things and not know the label or the name for it. So, but I was doing it for as a child, just to find the truth, and then it's kind of evolved, and then maybe being a little bit nosy or getting excited about people's stories and wanting to see more. And even now, when people, especially when I'm teaching people on their spiritual journey, or when I'm doing readings, and in readings you use it quite often as well to be able to go to a certain situation to be able to understand what you're seeing in a reading, and especially with murders as well, like being able to go to that space. So but remote viewing can be past, present, future. It can be everything. So, and that's the most accurate when you're working with spirit as well, and incorporating remote viewing. You can come up with that's where a lot of the most accurate predictions come from as well. So from doing this. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions?
Tell us what you've learned about past lives.
Past lives have been a major part of my journey. So I always had a little boy around me. I've always had a lot of my past lives around me, but it took me a long time to discover who they were, and I'd be able to understand. I knew that they were me, but I couldn't understand the whole lot. And when I spent that time on the other side when I was 16, I was greeted by two of my main past lives, and they are two past lives that I come in my classes, that I work with, that I teach with, and one's an old prophet from Scotland, and where he used to have a lot of royalty come and get information, and he had his eyes burnt out, and where they hid him in the caves off the water, like you'd have to walk down, and the ocean was right there, and he'd be in a cave, and they'd all come to visit him, and to be able to get information. But this little boy that was always around me, he was my last past life, and that past life was connected with my mother that I have in this lifetime. And where she had Munchausen syndrome, and she'd actually murdered him in that lifetime. And then we had this lifetime and to come back and do it again. And that's where my guide said I have to sever end the contract in this lifetime. I remember when I was around the age of 18, 19, I was like fascinated in past lives because I had to put all these pieces together. And I remember, I don't even know how I found out or how I looked it up or how I even got to meet these people, but I had a husband and wife team come to my house to hypnotize me to find out about past lives. And all my friends, I was telling my friends about it, and they're like, "You what? What the hell is that? Like, what are you talking about?" And they came and they took me back on so many past lives and about the little boy, and took me right back. I think they brought through about 6 different past lives, and it just made sense out of everything. And we have our past lives around us. We learn. We have that information. We just need to be able to be open to it. And there's things that all of us, information that we all know and just know. We just we don't even know how we've learnt it. We just know, but we can master it. You see it a lot in little kids just being able to play piano. And at 3 years old, and they can play like piano or an instrument, like it's just amazing. And that's because that's what they were in that other past life. So things come very naturally when we really take notice of these things and we incorporate it into our past lives. And a lot of things that hinder us and keep us fears, or a lot of different areas that may kind of keep us at a place where we can't move forward, is to do with past lives, to do with fears as well. So it could be a fear of water because we might have drowned in a lifetime before that. So it's just, what I find is we can never stop learning about this. There's just so much information, and there's so many amazing dimensions as well that we all come from, and where we've lived in other dimensions, not just here on Earth. And it's so nice when we come in contact with a soulmate, and a soulmate is where you've lived from one lifetime to many sometimes. And I remember meeting my best friend. And I remember the first time I met her, it was just the most amazing experience I've ever had, because I had all these confirmations going off in my body and of excitement. And our guides were even excited to see each other, and I could see our guides reuniting. And it was just like this excitement. And a lot of the time there's so many people that have different we have different experiences with. They're not always good. Sometimes they're bad, where we need to fix it. We need to complete a cycle with that. Daniel. Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Wow. A couple of questions. Thank you, Donna.
That's okay.
I was intrigued with your account of meeting your own past lives and seeing them as other people rather than recalling it from the inside.
Yeah.
That's I'm not sure that I've heard that sort of account before.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
really
that's how I
intriguing.
see spirit. Yeah.
The other question is, when you're called upon to find missing persons, how do you perceive or see them? You see them in a particular location, or you have a sense of where they are, or how does that work for you?
So they'll usually, the spirit will actually come through. So if they're deceased, sometimes they're not. So if they're not deceased, a loved one will come through and give me information about where they are. And then while I'm actually communicating with that loved one as well, and they're telling me, then I'll remote view at the same time. So it kind of happens in a flow. If they have passed, they will come through and they'll show me certain bits of information. So, and then I'll remote view as well. So often, sometimes also where the person who's coming to see me to find out information, I'll just when they're asking for that information, I'll just straight away remote view, and then spirit will come through, or it can happen either way. There's no set. It depends on the person and depends on how spirit wants to show me the information. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's okay. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions?
Ronnie?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Ronnie.
Archie. Oh, Ronnie?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much.
Oh, Machi, yes.
Yeah, hey. So, Donna, when you were talking about when you were repairing the trucks, and
Yeah.
And you said that anyone can do that. We just have to have that faith or that trust or that connection. Can you? And I'm familiar with a few ways to do it and to make that connection, but can you share how you would teach someone to have that trust, to have that confidence, and to also have that service sort of attitude?
Yep. It's different to me as well. Everyone sees spirit and communicates with spirit in all different ways. So depending on the person is how I teach them. So in Spirit Club, spirit will usually come through and tell me how to teach that person for how it suits them, if that makes sense. So I started seeing spirit first before anything else, and where it was almost like they were human to me, where other people see them in or feel them or have the experiences in all different ways. So spirit will always give me what's right for that person. One of the easiest ways to practice this, and this was a way that I practiced learning how to listen and to communicate and ask questions to spirit, was through writing. So a great way to practice that and to get that flow of energy going is through writing. So writing down your questions and listening to them and channeling the answers. So or even doing things. So being in the kitchen and asking your grandmother to come in and teach you about an old recipe and just listening to what she has. So the biggest disconnection between spirit and humans is we forget to ask questions. So we have to ask spirit questions like it would be like us talking, having a conversation. And a lot of people ask the questions and they want to know the information from spirit, but they forget to listen.
Yeah, we diligently
If it makes sense. Yeah, yeah. There's a big difference between hearing and listening. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. And I bet you that relaxing and being calm and trusting and just saying, "Shh, I'm just going to leave this to spirit," is a big part of it. It certainly will be for me. So I love
Yeah,
that.
that's it. Just yeah, I really think it's important sometimes where we just surrender to spirit and just let them look at. We can only ask for so much, and then it comes to just trusting that they will make everything fall together. And it's a big part of where our intentions, what is it about our intentions? Why are we doing this? Do we have the right intentions? Because the better intentions we have, the more spirit will really help us and give us everything that we need.
Thank you.
So,
Awesome.
thank you. Hey, was there someone else who had a question?
Lloyd has his hand up.
Lloyd.
And then Ronnie next.
Oh, Ronnie. Yeah.
This is a rather big question, but when you brought up remote viewing and also ethics when it comes to mediums, etc., is there anything that limits unethical behavior on the other side? On this side, the reason I bring this up is that my observation after a lifetime of being on this side is that the earth is still more or less ruled by people who are unethical and people who want to do good things and can only do so by cooperating with unethical, powerful people. And I'm wondering if it's any different when you get over there, or where are the limits?
It's totally different. And the thing is, if I'm being unethical, like my guide blocks certain things. So if I'm not meant to see it, if it's any part of being unethical, I'm not allowed to see that. They won't show me. So spirit and the other side does rule that. The unethical part is humans. And what I find is a lot of people who work in an unethical area or that are working on the spirit doesn't get involved in that. So a lot of their information isn't correct. And you'll find in every area there's unethical people. And it's very sad because this spirituality, there's no place for it. But you find a lot of people involved. And the thing is, because it brings a lot of those people who enjoy the power and control, and we do hold a lot of when we hold people's lives in our hands, like there's so much that we do that it's really emotional, the work that we do. It's really life changing what we do. And then that brings a lot of power, so it always brings the wrong kinds of people. It's almost like the police force, there's there's good cops, bad cops, and they have so much more power than most people. Where when it's bad, it's really, really bad, and it's pretty much like this in this area as well. Like there's people. I remember when I was in the church, and there was this group of people that running around doing chasing after murders and like information, and they were pretty much going. I call it witch hunts, like going and I was asked if I wanted to go and search for someone's body, a wife's body that was buried out, supposedly buried out the backyard of the husband's house. And I said, he's been killed her. Why the hell would I go and have a look out the backyard when I'm not even invited? You'll kill me too. Like, just ludicrous stuff, and it's more about them becoming famous or being known that they solved this murder. But that the thing is that, and this person was going through all the news clippings and wanting to find out all the information. So it was an assumption that the husband had killed the wife, but they didn't even know that. And it's just ludicrous what some people do, and it's all to do with ego. And spirit won't give you the information that's right. It's like someone in Spirit Club was approached by someone just recently about a case. I think it was a murder case. I can't remember exactly, but and she was going to go there and be involved in the case. And I said, but what Spirit's showing me is there's bikies, there's a whole heap of people involved in this, and that's very close, and family members. You don't want to get involved in this. You do not want to go to that place and get involved in that because you've got a family, and they can actually target your family if you give information that you shouldn't know. So it's very important that we're smart about what we do as well. But also what I've found over the years is Spirit won't give us a lot of information if it's going to put us in harm's way. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question. Yeah. There was some,
It,
Robbie? What's
it
that?
gave
I
me
can't
things
even.
to think about. It gave me things to think
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
sounds like
thank
you're
you.
in touch with something real. So I wanted to hear your perspective on some of those things. Thank you.
Yeah,
Ronnie's here.
thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Ronnie, I didn't realize you were here. Ronnie's a
Hi, Wendy.
former guest of ours. Ronnie, you had a question to ask Donna.
I did. I want to say hello to everyone first. Hi, Tati. And
Ronnie,
very happy to be here with all of you. Hi, Donna. So,
hello.
my soulmate Tamara passed away last July, and she has been communicating, and there have been paranormal visitations. And our friend Nancy is also here with us. And Nancy has channeled some pretty startlingly accurate messages. But both Nancy and I are new to this. And for me, my addiction to Tamara's physicality is, and my grief are a blockage to my ability to communicate well with her. And for Nancy, she still feels, even though she's been so accurate, a feeling of doubt, and we're just new to it. So we were wondering if you had any advice for us to be able to tune in better, because it seems like Tamara's doing really good work from the other side, but we're not receiving very well.
Oh, that's okay.
Well,
And
Nancy is.
yeah, well, what I noticed the most about that conversation then was you saying that I can't do this, I can't do that. So that is the main key. Does that make sense? So our belief, what I teach is what you believe is what you see. So if you open that door that, yeah, I can maybe see, or I will see one day, with removing I can't. Yeah. Because the thing is, that's what holds most mediums back, is not believing that they'll ever be able to do it. So just trust and ask spirit. So that's the main thing as well, is asking spirit. So before I do a day of work, I often have that conversation with my team. Okay, can we do this? And it can be random. It can be any time of the day. It can be whenever. I might see another medium and they do something absolutely amazing where they, and then I'll say to my team, can we do that? That's amazing. I want to be able to get information like that. Next thing, guaranteed, they give me that information. Okay, so have that conversation with your soulmate, with your team, with and just trust and know that they are there to give you that information. So a lot of the time that's when we open up, is when we've gone through something really traumatic and we've lost someone. I'm so sorry that you've lost your soulmate, but this soulmate is there to teach you about the other side, and I feel like you will have this soulmate there for longer, teaching you a lot more from the other side than even on this life plane, if that makes sense. So, and many of my people, I've got a whole arm full of tattoos, and I don't even have everyone's name on there. Of people that I've lost, and many of them have played a bigger role on the other side than what they have here. So talk to her, ask her to help you, and show you what you need to know, and you'll just see the floodgate open from then.
Okay, thank you so
I
much,
hope that
Donna.
helps, Ronnie.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Donna.
That's okay. Does anyone else have any questions?
Ronnie, your
Yeah.
friend,
Hi, Anne.
your friend Nancy. Nancy, did you want to come in on this?
Hi. Yeah, so I've been talking to Ronnie's soulmate for a couple of months now. And at first it was coming through like I was making it all up. It didn't seem real. And then when I gave the information to Ronnie, he confirmed a lot of really startling things. So I've been talking to his soulmate, and I just found out recently that we had a past life together. And it all came through when I asked her. I said, we have this open stream of communication, and we get together and we just laugh, and it's like we've known each other, and we just talk and laugh. It's like a girlfriend that I'm talking to. So I asked her, I said, why is it that we hardly knew each other in our life, but now we just have this open stream of communication where we have fun, we laugh and we talk and we have fun. And she said to me, I was waiting for you to ask. So do we have to ask spirit? I know they don't interfere without us agreeing. So is it a matter of us? Once I asked, like, she came through with a past life that we had together, and it was amazing. Do we have to ask the spirit who we're talking to for permission? Do we have to ask the question?
We don't have to ask for, well, I always ask for, I ask for who they'd really like to hear from. So the people who they'd really like to hear from will come through. Often, also, spirit will sometimes wait for them to ask as well, because that way it's not so. Because often people will get very, very emotional in a reading, and sometimes spirit will wait for them to ask for them, because if you make them a babbling mess at the beginning, they can't they can't they can't communicate with you. They can't understand a lot of what you're saying because they're just an absolute babbling mess. So over the years, I've learned how to be a lot more gentle and be able to work in different ways for different people. So spirit will actually make readings or make information come through what's best suited for the sitter. So to answer your question is, yes, that is the best way, is to ask spirit to come through, to open that door, and to also tell them what you want and what they need to do, because it's almost like we've got to teach each other what to do, what information, how they can give you the information. It's I work with my team and I work with spirit. It's like a team effort. So and asking questions and communicating a massive key to receiving the information you need to know.
Okay, I have another quick question.
Yeah.
I in this lifetime, I got into some sticky situations where I was bringing through some dark entities, and I know how to read someone's energy. It's perfectly clear. I can tell who they are and if it's false energy. But in another lifetime, I was prosecuted for channeling, and not put to death, but almost. And I have this block because of that. Like I receive information, but there's this, it only goes so far, and I feel like I'm blocking everything out because I'm afraid to go there and receive the information. So is there any way
And you can cut that cord from that lifetime that holds that energy, if that makes sense. So and that will release you from that. But from my knowledge of the other side, I've never seen anything bad on the other side. So in the way of dark energies, it doesn't exist. But what I'm understanding, what you were seeing was imprints. So what ghosts are, what dark energies often are, is where, and it's been an imprint that's been left in the atmosphere. And when you see ghosts, when people often see ghosts, they repeat themselves. They do the same thing over and over, and that's a imprint of the energy. When I've had murderers come through in spirit, and even serial killers come through in spirit, and you feel their imprint when they come through because they're showing me who they once was. But when they go over the other side, they're cleared of all that energy. Then they're no longer, even the worst of the worst are actually made to see what they've done. And they actually, someone who didn't have empathy on this side of life, have empathy on the other side. And where they're actually, they can see the damage that they've done, and so, and that old belief of evil and to do with hell and all of that, that's all things that were incorporated by the churches to gain control over the many, and that was incorporated in for many years. So when people feel like they're seeing, sometimes too, the only time I've ever been afraid of what I'm seeing or from the other side is because I haven't understood what I was seeing. So I remember when I was a Garbo, being down in a loading dock in Chinatown, and I was down there and I could see this great big half man, half dragon jumping across the rafters, and they were doing renovations down there. And when renovations and things are happening, it lifts up all the imprints and brings things alive. And what I was seeing was this half man, half dragon. He was hundreds and hundreds of years old. And he was jumping around, but I was also seeing the lift door opening and closing, and a whole heap of people in gowns and things walking through, the elderly walking through. And then many years later, I really didn't understand what I was seeing, but many years later, I was sitting in a circle, and there was a Chinese lady there, and I told her what I'd seen and this address, and she said, that address, she says, there was a nursing home or a home for the elderly that was run by the underworld, and the Chinese believed that that the dragon come in and burnt the place down, and all the people that I was seeing had actually perished in the fire that was there. And I was seeing everyone's belief system of this old dragon that had come and cleared. So many years later, I finally found out what I was actually seeing, where it made sense to me. So, yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? Hi, Anne.
Yeah, hi. I'm often confused when I hear mediums talk about the word spirit. They're always saying spirit said this or that, or what do they mean by spirit? Do they mean a spirit, or do they mean a large collection, or do they mean their spirit guide? What are they talking about?
Spirit. So to me, it's probably different for everyone, but for me, spirit is where I see them. So that's who I'm communicating with, and that's a mix of imprints and the soul of that person who once was, or my guide who comes through as well. So spirit is why I call them spirit, is that's what I see. Does that make sense? To me, it's a term that's real. It's almost like calling us humans.
But it's not a particular person, or
it's just spirit. So it's the other side.
Yeah.
Kim, did you want to come through on this one? Kim Parker? You had something very good to say about this.
Could it be a particular person that's coming through to you rather than just kind of a generic kind of spirit?
Yes, of course. Yes. People, you could look at it as, if another word would fit better for you, a light body. Yeah. So my understanding of spirit, and it might differ a bit from Donna's, I don't know, is that in essence, the complete character you are in this incarnation is always kept, and it is conscious, and it can return in an appearance that you might be able to see psychically, or even actually see if it's needed. If those that loved it or need it, or are in the family line quite often, if they need it, it can reconstitute the appearance of the body. But it's really a light body. It's intelligence. It's a non-embodied intelligence, and it's a loving intelligence, because I do agree with Donna that once you're in where you're meant to be, there ain't anything too bad to be found.
No, that's it.
I think if I'm right, what you're saying is that some mediums will say, spirit is telling me, but they're not saying whether it's my guides that are telling me or whether it's the spirit of your loved one. Is that what you're saying, Anne? That people...
Yeah, well, it's just that I've heard this term over and over again from mediums, and especially people talking on a platform or something, and they'll just say, spirit is telling me this, and I always wonder what they were talking about.
Which spirit?
So it's really important that we do give the information of of who we are talking to, because that's evidence. But quite often I will say, I will refer to as spirit as well. So, and quite often when I am referring to spirit in a forum like this, I'm referring to my guides and my angels and especially my guide. Because quite often too, I find mediums will use the term spirit because when we're communicating with the other side, sometimes we get bombarded by a few spirits, not just one. So it's an easy term to just say, I'm communicating with spirit.
Okay,
So
now,
I see that term as us as humans, them as spirit. Does that make sense?
my question, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, just briefly, it seems to me that, and this is very common, that we use the term spirit in two different senses. One is for particular spirits, obviously, and the other is for the realm of spirit in general. And I think we probably need two different words for that, clearly defined, to avoid that confusion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I tend to use the word I tend to use the term the greater reality, although that may be too general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Anyway, that was.
No, that's true. It's very,
Sometimes I think too, they might be referring to their own intuition, and you'll often hear people say they're telling me, or they may not, the medium may not even know where the information is coming from. It might be an amalgamation, partly
that's quite
intuition,
often too.
partly rather than a particular spirit. It might be easier to say spirit than my inner knowing is telling me. Am I right? Right.
And it's quite, and it does. Yeah, that's so a lot of that comes down to the experience of the medium, and also often them knowing where they're getting the information from. Some people are relaying the information and getting the information that's very accurate, but they're not even knowing where the information's coming from.
Yeah.
And quite often family members will all come through at once. So quite often they can't pinpoint who's giving that information. So they'll bring it down to, well, it's just spirit. Yeah. So, but it's very important if you're in a position of platform, or if what you're doing a reading, you're giving that really firm evidence to the sitter or sitters, who's coming through, and really firm evidence. Because the thing is, when we're just referring to them as spirit, a lot of people really need that evidence, because people just won't believe our information if we're saying that it's just coming from spirit and not from their father or their mother, and giving that hardcore evidence. It's so important that we give that. Yeah.
Okay,
So.
thank you, Donna. I think that's clarified. Did anybody else have a question? I have a question if nobody else has.
I think Lloyd, Gary had a question.
No, I think Gary was just pointing to the person who had a question.
I was pointing out Anne, but while I have the microphone, I just want to say thank you. This has been delightful, and listening to your stories and hearing your perspective on these things. So,
thank you. Thank you, Gary. Yes, Wendy.
Donna, suicides. There's still a lot of people who say that. I think that the general consensus now is that suicides are met with love, and there's no immediate penalty. But some people have the thing that, oh well, they're going to have to come back and start again. With their past lives, that there is in fact a hidden penalty, in that they will have to begin again to relive that the challenge that they didn't meet in this life.
Depends if it was in their contract or not. So Yeah. And, because we all have free will, so we can tap out at any time and end our contract. But it depends on what the contract was and if we learned everything that we had to learn. And I've heard so many terrible things about suicides, and a lot of it does come from old beliefs and Bibles, and they don't end up in heaven and they don't end up here, and they're all these terrible things. But a, a lot of the time, most of the time, when people come through who've committed suicide, they're very remorseful and they really didn't. They're in a state of chaos or mental health, or in a state that they really wouldn't have done it if they weren't in that state of mind. So sometimes it happens when people just had no control over themselves. And they come through saying, no, 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 what have I done? What have I done? Then there's others who they feel like they've done everything that they had to do here, or they were just too gentle for this lifetime, and they're actually at peace on the other side now. So it's so different for every situation. So I just did a show on Mother's Day down at Shepparton, down in Melbourne, and it was it was really heavy because all the mums were there with so many children that had passed away, and many of them to do with suicide. So I've gone to many shows and parties and things like that. I went to one in Queensland where the whole town had this epidemic of suicides, and where it wasn't just one generation, but it was 3 generations. And it was just, I felt like I'd been through a washing machine by the end of it. Yeah. Then I missed my plane to get back. And that's a whole nother story. And I ended up and I had to wait until the next morning for the next plane. So I ended up on the seat, sleeping on the seat like a hobo. After doing a whole reading full of all these suicides, and it was just like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So
That's a question, Donna. Does it ever affect you?
Sometimes it does, because I don't remember a lot of my readings. It's very rare that I remember readings, but Spirit will show me bits and pieces that I need to remember. And quite often, there's some readings that we'd be crazy for it not to affect us. Because situations and some things that what people have gone through is just out of this world. And of course that affects you sometimes. And it's really, but it's about clearing the energy as well. And Spirit does take that away from me, so I don't remember things for a long period either. So, but that's what I've asked Spirit to do. And that's just what my guides taught me as well over the years. So, Regina.
Thank you. Oh, I am off mute. Okay. Thank you, Donna. Wonderful way of expressing the after with suicides, because there is no punishment for them.
No.
There is just no punishment. And I loved how you used the word tap out. I've got 2 suicide, I don't want to use the word victims, but decisions here, people here in the room right now. They're watching the show with me. And one is saying he didn't try to commit suicide, but he died from a stupid thing. He was only 19. As a matter of fact, it's 11 years since he died, right here in the neighborhood. And everybody started speculating on him. Oh, he's going to hell. Oh, he's doing this. Oh, he's doing that. Can you imagine being the mother?
No, no.
When you hear people's comments like that, it just, and he was so beside himself. absolutely beside himself. And his first thing when he came to me, literally the day after it happened, he needed me to talk to his mom and dad. But the thing is, and then the other one that's sitting here with me was an accident as well. Saw it on TikTok, he said, and got caught into that. It was only 15. And neither one of them were met with punishment or you fool. They were met with love, like you say. And if I could share that with anybody, I do. I tell people all the time who have loved ones who've tapped out or lost their lives in one way or another, that they're always met with love. There is no judgment. The only judgment we have is the one right here on earth where we're saying, oh, you're going to go this way or that way. So I'm passionate for these young people, but I'm also passionate for the older people who do take their life at the end. We know Robin Williams, and Gary Langley was doing an interview with me a while back, and Robin came through to tell us who met him. He didn't want it wasn't taped. Do you remember Gary? And that experience was profound, absolutely profound. I can still see it and feel it. But there's no wrongdoing.
No,
None.
no, that's right. Another one that irks me as well that I hear like people say all the time is where spirit gets stuck or souls get stuck. Where and I've heard that quite often. There's, and you can't, the souls are way smarter than what we are. We're ourselves. We break up, we go to many different places. So there's no one that can get stuck. I remember hearing a story where someone had been told that their mother was stuck. And then the daughter went home and tried to commit suicide to save the mother, and it's just so crazy what some people tell. I also did a reading for someone, and her daughter had passed away 12 years earlier and come through the door, and her daughter comes straight in, and I was communicating with her daughter straight away. And at the end of the reading, this lady just burst into tears, and she said, "So you can see my daughter?" And I said, "Well, your daughter's been talking to me the whole time. That's where I've got all the information. It hasn't come from anywhere else." And she said, I had a reading with someone, and this was a fairly well-known person 12 years earlier, and that medium didn't get the information that she should have, and told that mother that the daughter would never, ever make contact with her because her energy was off. And this mother had been in absolute, I can't even explain what she'd gone through over 12 years. And the only reason she came to me was one of her friends that said, "You need to go and see Donna. You need to go and see Donna to clear this." And her friend had actually booked her in to see me. And this lady was so traumatized from that reading. It was just unbelievable. And it was really, really disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
medium's
so
credo should
important.
be do no harm. That should be
Oh,
the medium's credo. Do no harm.
well, it's like psychiatrists or counselors, their motto is, and what they have to work by is do no harm, and that everyone has to leave us better than what they came. And I actually get recommended by psychiatrists all over the world, and I have people come to me from psychiatrists to be able to fill that gap. And so it's really important that we do operate like them, where we do have that, what we do is life-changing. Imagine being told that your daughter cannot make contact with you because your energy's horrible after you've just lost your daughter. And the thing is, her daughter said to me that she's felt me, like she had actually felt her the whole time, but what this medium had said overruled even being able to feel her daughter there, had kind of taken away that whole reality of the truth because of that horrible thing that was said. And it was simply because the medium could not get the information, that she couldn't see spirit or couldn't make that connection. So she's put it back onto the sitter. Yeah. So, yeah, that kind of thing really makes me cranky. Yeah, and that's what we're not about. Yeah. Daniel?
Yeah, and Regina, you can help me with the memory on this. Regina and Jean Love and I used to do frequent Zoom calls, and early on, our calls got crashed by Robin Williams, and he was amazing. I mean, you can't make Robin Williams up. He was hilarious, and then he could get very, very serious and personal. And part of what he was bringing through was about his suicide. And in his case, a big element of this was his care for his family. His family was highly stressed due to his condition.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
And so it was, whatever else it might have been, it was also, the intent was also to relieve his family of the stress they were going through just in caring for him and dealing with his energy. Is my recollection correct on that, Regina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He related
I think that's a fairly common thing. You'll hear people say, "Oh, that they would be better off without me."
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
that so many times.
And it's, it's legal now where people can choose to end their own lives in Australia now. So when they've come to a place where they can't, that there's no other way, then there's no where you're just going to go downhill. So there's that, people even have that choice now. So, but when I was 16, I could have made that choice too, but I knew that I wasn't going anywhere. So, and there's been so many times where the person who I'm speaking to in spirit actually knew that it was the end of their time.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us are showing that quite often before we even pass. One thing I really love, and I've seen many times through my readings, is where someone is in spirit with dementia, and then the loved one is still here, and where husband and wife, and they're separated because of their health issues, but then when one of them passes, the one without the dementia passes, the one with dementia who's still alive actually comes and gets the one that's passed. And then not long after, the one with dementia passes. So it's like and many people with who've lost a loved one that was very, very close start having dementia after they have passed, because they're actually spending more and more time on the other side, because with people with dementia, they're in the grey area. So where they're actually spending more and more time. That's where you listen to a lot of people who have dementia and where they're actually seeing their loved ones on the other side. And they just see them more and more, and that's because their mind is actually going more and more into the grey area and into that other space, into that other realm. So, yeah. Does
Donna,
anyone have any more questions? Yes.
have you ever had a reading where you've actually contacted with somebody who's still alive, somebody like either with dementia or in a coma?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've done many readings. I do many readings with people in the grey area, especially through COVID. I did a lot of readings then all over the world with people in the grey area who just couldn't get to their family members, you know, and they were over the other side of the world. I've also had disabilities. So I think I got into working. I actually started working with disabled children with North Rocks Deaf and Blind School when I think I was like maybe 12 years old, where I used to go and help with the babies on the weekends, and a lot of them couldn't communicate, and I'd talk to them mind-to-mind communication. And some disabled people are just the most amazing, and their mothers as well, because the mother has learned, especially a child that can't communicate, the parents have actually learned how to communicate mind to mind without even realising it a lot of the time. And you see a lot of mothers that have had disabled children or have disabled children are so spiritually in tuned, a lot of them even end up becoming readers. But I remember being at a church service once, and I had this disabled son with cerebral palsy coming in, and he was interrupting with all my readings on the day, and I said, I've got to come to this son first, because he was in the living, but he was at home, and his mother was in the service, and he would follow her everywhere when she'd leave him at home. He was a real sticky beak, and he was just causing mayhem in my service, and until I acknowledged him. So the whole time through the service, I had to acknowledge him as well, and he was in the living, but very cerebral palsy and couldn't communicate. But he loved it because I could communicate with him, and he could communicate and tell me what I need to tell his mother. But his mother already knew what he was saying, because she could read his mind, and she could even feel him around her when she would be out at the shops or out everywhere. So that was an amazing experience. Yeah. Gary.
Yes, that's very common with autistic children and their parents.
Yep.
And in fact, the telepathy tapes documents a lot of that, which you can find on YouTube or podcasts. But yeah, they are very psychic, autistic children.
Very.
They know about spirits, and they know about, I mean, there's a broad spectrum of what they know. And in fact, one of the young men who was autistic communicated that what they are is what we're becoming. In other words,
that's exactly.
Not that we're becoming autistic, but they have abilities and telepathy, and they're in contact with spirits, and that we're getting there. So
they have parts of their brain that and what I find it too is when certain parts of our body or our senses or whatever don't work, they're heightened in different areas. So that, and yeah, in my early days, I was behavior management for an ALA, which was a Rudolf Steiner school, and I ended up becoming a part of the whole thing. But it was just amazing, the experience, and amazing working with disabilities, and I was drawn to that from such a young age.
And Yeah, for decades, people thought, oh, there's nobody in there. And they're actually
Yeah.
far superior in their capacities to us.
So much more advanced than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was around that time. I ended up becoming an EN, like a nurse, and I worked with a lot of people who were passing. I was sent to houses where people were passing away, so to help them and the family members to actually pass over, and then also disabilities. And it, I learned so much in that time. It was just amazing. And yeah, the more medical and the more experiences we have, we learn so much. And yeah, disabilities is just an area that's just amazing. Yeah.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Donna, extraterrestrials, other life forms living off planets. What are your thoughts?
Love it. And the thing is, what I love too is I hold many circles, and when and a lot of trance circles, and quite often we talk in light language, and my guide will talk in the same language, and it's just phenomenal. But yeah, we all come from so many different dimensions. So, and I hear people sometimes say, oh, there's 7 dimensions, there's 13 dimensions, but there's no limit to the dimensions on the other side. And, it comes to a point sometimes where I think, oh, right, I've seen it all now. But then next thing I see something more, and I see something totally different. And that's what I've loved about Spirit Club as well, is seeing so many different beings from so many different dimensions come through Spirit Club. So there's one young man who's in Spirit Club, and he's all extraterrestrial. He's the most amazing person with the most profound knowledge. And what I love too is a lot of what I see on the other side is bits and pieces of certain movies like Predator. So he has this big being who looks like Predator come through, and he's massive. And I remember when I was in class once, and he's come in through the class, and we were actually doing work on different dimensions in Spirit Club, and that night the light bulb actually exploded, and when it exploded it turned into powder. There wasn't even any glass. I thought, I've got to go clean up this glass, and there wasn't even any glass. It was just powder. But he'd come through, and he was like, he looked exactly like the big guy in Predator, and I thought, well, there you go. That's where whoever wrote this book or story or whatever, that's where they're connected to that dimension. So there's certain dimensions that I've seen, and like Avatar. Avatar is the closest thing to the other side I've ever experienced, and I love it. Yeah. In our healing centre, I play the videos all the time. Yeah.
We often hear, I'm starting to hear more and more circles now that are having guides from all sorts of different dimensions, interdimensional guides. And is that something you're coming across as well?
Oh, yeah. Over the years, and the thing is, the more people are coming open to it, it's like what you see is what you believe is what you see. So people's becoming more where they believe in this, and from little experiences or just from information or listening to other people, they're becoming open to it. So then it's becoming more common, and people are becoming more connected with that source.
Now,
So
just looking at the the progression, you've come from a little country town which was very, very conservative. and I understand that it must have been difficult to find. When you were growing up, there weren't any New Age shops or crystal shops
Oh,
in Cootamundra.
no. Well, I was only in Cootamundra until I was 3.
All
And then
right.
we moved to Grafton. So that was another small town. And that's where I started seeing spirits. So I was pretty much going from one town to another. But yeah, pretty much. But I've always come back and done shows and everything in Cootamundra. And a lot of people, it's a very churchy town as well. It used to be. And we've moved back here and we've opened this the healing centre, and from a child I always knew that I'd end up living back there, and even though I didn't spend a lot of time there, and it's the town has really embraced us. It's really been quite lovely, but it was so hard growing up. I have always grown up in little towns. Even in Sydney, we lived at Kellyville, which was like a little country town back then as well. So it's always been very, it's always been very hard in the way of being accepted. But I would shut down. I was very much a child that kind of did my own thing, and where I was quite popular, I had a lot of friends as well, but not all of my friends knew what I did and how strange I really was. But I've got many that are still friends with me today. I've got best friends since I was 8 years old, and another one since I was 11, and they've gone on the journey, and they're not spiritual at all, but they understand me and they go, oh, yeah, she's strange. There's something different about her. And a lot of things I've said and done over the years have come true, and where, their parents have come through, and there's information that I've given them, and they're just accepting for who I am, and they love me no matter what. So, yeah.
Would you agree that the field is changing? It's opening up, that more and more people are much more open in the last 5 years than
yes.
they were when we were growing up, certainly.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it was taboo when we were growing up, and
absolutely.
yeah. But now it's opening up, and people are really wanting to know more. And yeah, it's and a lot of what I used to talk about and what I used to babble on about, especially at 16, like I come back with all this knowledge from the other side, and I really didn't know at that point where to put it, because it didn't align with what I'd learned or what everyone else knew, and made sense to me, and it helped me to understand. But society had to kind of catch up with all of that knowledge, and it's starting to come to a point now where people have so much more understanding. But not just understanding, they have so much to teach and to be able to express, to be able to help other people. And people are awakening, and they've actually been doing things their whole life, but just not understood what they were doing.
And Australia, I think, is pretty open. We don't have a heavy religious sort of indoctrination here. Would you agree, Donna?
Yeah.
It's not like you're living in the Bible Belt in America, where you've got a lot of religion in power. Our culture is a lot more open. Would you agree, compared to America, where you've got?
I do, and there are certain areas of Australia that are like that, though. So I have come across that, where certain religions, especially born-again Christians, like, they want to save your soul. Like, you can't see spirit. That's just not okay. And and quite often I've had them come up and say, "Can I pray for you?" and can I pray for you? I've got to save you or whatever. And I'm like, I can see what's coming for me. I need you to pray for me.
What do you tell them? What do you tell them when they
That's
want to pray
exactly
for
what
you?
I say. I say, I don't need you to pray for me. I can see what's coming. and I usually giggle and I walk off. But yeah, I've had people come to me and they want to pray for me, or they want to also find that that's a manipulative tool as well that many spiritual people use. Not spiritual, but many people use because, and I feel like they're taught that maybe through their religion sometimes, is to go and say to someone, "Oh, can I pray for you?" Because the minute someone comes to you and says, "Can I pray for you?" if you're not right in yourself and your own belief and feeling comfortable within yourself, you straight away start to doubt yourself and think, "Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Oh yes, please pray for me. I need to help. I need you to save me." Does that make sense? So it's actually a manipulative tool for people to kind of make you doubt yourself straight away and to doubt who you are. So, yeah.
Gary?
And I've
Sorry.
seen something come up. Nancy, was it about light language?
Yes, I was going to actually tell you Nancy was trying to raise her hand there. So
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's Nancy ask a question or come in on the conversation. Nancy?
Yeah, am I unmuted now?
yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone. There aren't too many places you can talk about these things, and it's just been wonderful. Thank you. I started speaking light language about 15 years ago. Just started speaking it. And I want to understand what it is. Like, I get the urge with some people to speak it. I get this connection, and at other times I feel like I shouldn't say anything. I don't really understand what I'm saying, but I get the general feeling of what it is. So can you kind of explain what's going on there?
Yeah, so it's light language is more a frequency. So it's more working off frequency and energy. So and our intuition in interpreting what is being said. So it's quite amazing, light language, especially when we're communicating, because we're just channeling as well. We're channeling that information. So it's the light beings connecting. So when you're talking, and that's why you feel like you're drawn to communicate with some people and other people not, because they're in tune with that frequency. The people that the light beings that are around that person are linked with the light beings that are around you, so they match in that frequency. Does that make sense?
It does. Is there a way that I could understand more of what I'm saying through light language?
And that if you're meant to understand it, you will know what you're saying. A lot of the time, it's between them, the light beings that are channeling through you the information. If you ask them to show you and give you more information about interpreting what you're saying, then they will show you that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
But it's more about trusting and feeling the energy and the frequency and receiving that information through frequency. But that's about talking to them and getting you to be able to understand in your language, for you to be able to understand. I just trust if I'm meant to know what certain parts of what I'm talking about is meant to make sense, they will show me. Otherwise, I just enjoy the energy and the connection. So, yeah, thank you. Sometimes we don't need to have all the answers and we don't need to fully understand. It's about just enjoying and trusting. Yeah. Regina.
With the light language, or I don't know what other word they use for it, what I understand is it's that we don't have to mentally brain power figure out what they're telling us, because they're talking to us in a cellular way, to our spiritual, everything about us is experiencing the knowledge that they're passing through us. It's just I accept it as kind of like an upgrade to my system when it comes through. And it's to me, it's some, I don't know how to explain it. Because when it's happened, for me, it's happened when I've been plugged into other machinery and the language is coming across all the machines and I'm just experiencing it. So and then I'm hearing it back when they play it. But to me, it was amazingly wonderful.
That's a beautiful way of it's a beautiful way of explaining it. Yeah, it's just we don't have to have all the answers. Sometimes we just can enjoy and just trust and enjoy the experience. Yeah.
Well, imagine that we're on the other side and we're trying to get something through to a human whose brain and whose language has not been trained to receive what we're about to send. And we need to send it anyway, and they will just get it however they get it. Does that seem
they're so light beings are so in tune and they're way more advanced than us. So if they need to get us that message, they will, in whatever way that they deliver it. Yeah.
And isn't our soul understanding that, even though
Yeah, that's right. A lot of our time, our soul is taking that in and understanding it, especially when there's a past life connection to that dimension as well. So, yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to say real quickly, I live in Florida right now, and so it's kind of the Bible Belt. And I've had people, going back to your earlier comments, say, "Oh, you can't, that's talking to demons." And I always tell them, well, if it is, they're not doing a very good job because it's awfully loving. And and the reply is always, well, they're trying to trick you. And you can't get through to them. You just can't. You just have to let
And
people.
one I get all the time too is, do you work with Jesus? How can you do this and not work with Jesus? And I say, I work with Jesus every day, if I want to. Yeah, I can communicate with Jesus. Jesus was actually a medium.
Yeah, very good one. A physical medium.
But the thing is it's just ignorance of what they've been taught. And many people have been, the brainwashing's been, it's been over many generations. And people are breaking free from that as well. So, and the thing is many of the people that I was around when I was growing up who was totally against all of this is now these days open to it. So they do have hope, some of them. But yeah, it's quite sad because, and the thing is it's about us, and I always respect other people's beliefs and religions and everything as well, because that's what they've grown up, that's what they've learnt. But the thing is, what I love about spirituality and what I love about mediumship is it's the only religion that gives proof of life, that can actually give proof of
Right.
what we're talking about. So we can
Absolutely.
give hardcore evidence. With other religions, there's none of that. There's a Bible that most humans have tampered with. And
Many times
what
over.
they did show me on the other side too is every religion, the stem of every religion. I've read a lot of Bibles or learned about them. A lot of Bibles, there's certain Bibles I haven't been able to read because Spirit's blocked it, but I've heard about it in other ways or Spirit's showing me. But every religion's, the core of it is the same. That's where humans have interfered with it for all the wrong reasons, why they're all labelled and changed and, mucked around with.
Yeah.
Donna,
Thank you.
pardon me, on that note, we've come to an end of a fascinating discussion. Would anybody like to thank Donna on our behalf?
Thank
Regina?
you. Thank you for having me, everyone.
Regina, come on, Regina.
I would like to thank you, Donna, on behalf of all of the global gathering, and my spirit within me, my soul is so happy you were able to be on this program. Really, it was delightful, and I hope you come back. Make sure she's plugged in, Wendy, for the next time around.
Absolutely. I hope
Love
That
it.
was so.
It was delightful.
I hope Donna will become part of our community because
Oh,
you've got so much to offer. I have so much respect for Donna and her. I don't think anyone would ever question Donna's genuineness or or her sincerity. It's just so much a part of who she is. And
Delightful.
it's been my whole life, and it makes me emotional to be able to get to this point where I can share my journey and to be able to help others. It really, sorry, it makes me cry. So I'm so grateful for you all, and thank you so much. I learned just as much from you guys, so it's been really nice. And so, but I'd love to share this link with Spirit Club for any of the people from Spirit Club if they'd like to ever join.
Please encourage them. We're here every Monday morning Australian time, every Sunday US time. Everybody's welcome.
Okay.
And these are the these are the things we talk about every week. We're always talking about spirit and experiences, and we one of the things we try to do in this group is give a platform for people who have had experiences but never been able to share them, or who would like to learn the skills of being able to take their message to the wider world. And so
wonderful.
that's one of the things. One of the things we do too is if people have a particular interest, we get them to start a group for us, a Zoom group. And I think we have 30 groups a month now, and people can start off with running a group maybe once a month or once a fortnight. Some groups even run once a week. So it's an opportunity for people to come and very much like you do, Donna, mix with like-minded people and perhaps speak to people they wouldn't normally get to talk to.
That'd be wonderful.
So let's work together on that, Donna.
That sounds wonderful. Because, I've got Spirit Club with hundreds and hundreds of people that have from all over the world that have been, and they come in and out. It's a safe place where they can come in and come out when they need to on their own spiritual journey. But I'm sure many of them would love to be a part of this group, so as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And
thank you for having me.
Next week, we've got Stephen Berkeley coming on. I've asked Stephen Berkeley Gary is as Stephen's co-host, regular co-host. Stephen is Gary. Would you like to tell everybody about what you do with Stephen?
Yes, what do you
Yes.
do with Stephen?
What do I do? Well, I co-host his Life with Ghosts program, but then we also do some classes, which have been really helpful for a lot of people. We work with Cheryl Page a lot. And so Stephen has a different guest every month that he interviews. He has a big following because he put out a film called Living with Ghosts. And I think it's readily available. Anybody can access it. I can't tell you off the top of my head. But he's a great guy, great to work with. And so, yeah, hopefully, Donna, you could be here next week and hear a little
Yeah.
about the journey. Yeah.
Well, one of
Yeah,
the
I
things,
just wrote it down. So,
one of the
yeah.
things I thought about with Stephen, when he first came in, I think he was quite new to the whole field. And I'm
Mhm.
just curious to see what he's learnt in 2 years of interviewing mediums and people who are researchers. And I'm just looking to see what changes there have been in Stephen as a result of his exposure to the field.
Stephen is coming along nicely.
You might want to interview me one day.
Well, indeed. All right,
That'd be fun.
that would be fun. Okay, everybody. Thank you.
Well, it
And
was lovely to meet you all, and I'll try and make it next week. But I think this group will be the main topic in Spirit Club today. So, yeah, because I'm going to let everyone know about it and send them the link for every Monday at
On-
7
One
a.m.
message
On
here.
note-
There's a
on-
message here from Gordon saying to Donna, thank you
Oh,
for
thank
listening
you.
to him. So
Oh.
he's saying thank you very much for passing the message. What a delight. He's been quietly waiting in the back here. He just stepped forward. So Donna, thank you very much for listening to Gordon the other day when you did.
And Donna, you might want to tell them about the Friday Afterlife report that Wendy puts out, because that's a wonderful resource, and it lists all the groups, and anybody can
Okay.
sign up for it. It's free, and I
Yeah.
assume you know about it, right?
Yeah, Wendy, would you be able to send me all the information? So,
I will.
are you on Spirit Club on the chat on on Messenger?
No, I haven't quite figured that one out, but
Okay,
I'll be in touch with you anyway.
okay. Let me have a look and see if I can add you to the chat, and
Okay,
then you're welcome to post anything like that in the Spirit Club
Well,
chat if you like.
Gary runs a book club, which is on at a time that we can access. Spirit once a month he does spirit books.
Okay, let me send you the links.
And the
to Spirit Club.
other
Love
thing,
the books.
Donna, you should know about is Nancy's magazine, the Inner Voice magazine, and you or any of your people who would like to read it, it's free online by donation, and a lot of us write for the magazine. So this is a voice. Have a look online. It's called the Inner Voice magazine. It's a beautiful magazine, and it's got a lot of wonderful articles, and a lot of the people who are in part of our community write for it. The Inner Voice
That
magazine.
sounds amazing too.
So
Let me if I can just send you guys the link to join Spirit Club chat if you'd like to. I'll just go. When I'm working with Spirit, I get a little bit. I find it hard. I don't know if you guys are the same. I find it hard to do everyday things. Like, I've got a request now. Let me have a look. Oh, you sent me a request. So I've just sent that to you. I'm going to send invitational link.
And what's the best a email address for people to contact you, Donna, if they want to contact you?
So medium.young@hotmail.com.
Could you say that again?
medium.young@hotmail.com.
mediumdonnayoung@hotmail.com.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. And I'm just about to share the link to Spirit Club as well. I just had to, for some reason, I can't get the link on my computer, but I can do it on my phone. So I'll just share that link. In the chat. Let me look. Oh. And that's the link there. So yeah, anyone can join Spirit Club and just you can come to any of so Mondays I have classes at 10 a.m. I'm not sure if it's going ahead today. I haven't counted the numbers yet, but there's one at 10 o'clock. There's one I do a healing. It's a little bit of a healing circle on at 6 p.m. and that just goes for an hour, and then I have Spirit Club again at 7:30 p.m.
Now they're
Australian time.
They're Australian times, so that would be the middle of the night. For
Yeah, they're
America.
Australian time. So so 10 a.m. That's in 45 minutes. So yeah, so that's the time for Spirit Club in the mornings. So sometimes I have a few people from overseas jump on in there. Sometimes morning groups are quite big. Then other times there's we might miss the morning sometimes. So it all depends on but the evening group's usually quite big. But that's at 7:30 Sydney time. So I'm not sure what time that would be for many of you guys. So
middle of the night. Those in the UK and Europe would be good for them. So
yeah.
We are a global gathering here.
That's it. So what I do is I put down a link in that chat. So every Sunday night I put it, and it's a little bit of a poll, like just to see who's coming, who's going to attend. So I kind of know if I'm going to sleep in or not.
Good plan. Okay, everybody. Look forward to seeing you all next week, and have a lovely week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.
See you guys. Bye.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, guys.